more. I don't want them to see my shiny nose. Okay, yeah, good. Oh, hey everybody. How you all doing today? Welcome to Behind the Photo. I am your host, Aaron J. Anderson, along with David. David, how are you doing?
G'day, Aaron. Great day. Really happy that we're here for our second show. Can't wait to go through some of these news articles that we're going to discuss today.
Yeah, let me tell you. Hey, everybody in chat. I just figured out how to bring out the pop-out chat. I am ready to go. Get your well, you got a countdown to get your popcorn and your coffee or whatever it is you do to watch absolutely entertainment up the yin-yang. We're ready to rock this. You ready to get jiggy with this?
I certainly am. I'm telling you, I'm raring to go. I've got my coffee in my Sony coffee mug.
Where's the coffee from?
It's from a bottle shop.
Yeah. Mine grows on a tree in Cuba. The coffee here in Puerto Rico is really good, but I'm actually drinking Cuban coffee right now.
Oh.
So how's everybody doing today? Okay, so we're going to get right into this. We are going to go to our first news story. And if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. We can see a couple people here already. And I very much appreciate you guys here. Now I'm hosting this for the first time, so give me a break while I fumble through all this. But we're going to go to this screen right here, and we're going to go to our first story. So we're going to jump right in. Now, David found this article here about Bowens is back from the dead with the XMT 500 flash head. So, David, do you want to talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, because this was a really interesting story because I thought they'd completely disappeared. Bowens flashes were sort of up there with like pro photo gear, so they're more of the higher-ended type flashes. And I think the problem is that they'd been hurt with companies like Godox, obviously, that are sort of ripping these companies off, re-engineering them and selling them at much, much cheaper prices. So they actually went broke, and I never thought that we'd see them again. But I'm really happy to say that they were bought out by another company, and they seem to have released a whole new model. So they are sort of reviving it from the dead, which is great to see. Because normally when companies like this disappear, you never ever see them again. But they're very industrial. Look, they're not cheap. You can see sort of down here at the bottom there, it's saying it's now selling at £699 for one of the flashes there. So they are more high-ended flashes, but they're built very, very well. Well, the old versions were, and I'm hoping that this is built the same way. I use ProPhoto, and I love them as well, but they're not for the average user out there. They're more if you're earning money on the job and you can afford to buy these sort of units. Otherwise, I would definitely recommend Godox. But I just wanted to share that because I thought it's so good to see a company coming back from the brink. And it's just a bit exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, too, because, I mean, most of everybody probably heard of the Bowens mount. So, yeah, they have a pretty good reputation and stuff in the industry. So it is really cool that they came back. Now, have you ever used Bowens flashes before? I've never have.
No, because look, they're sort of in direct competition with ProPhoto, really. So I've never used it because I have an extensive ProPhoto. I think I've got about 7 or 8 lights of ProPhoto. So I do have an awful lot of them. So I've never had the need to get Bowens, but I certainly would have looked at them if I wasn't using ProPhoto due to the fact of, you know, they are that sort of industrial quality. One of the advantages about the higher end flashes is you can go to any rental place in the world and they will always be there, and any of the light modifiers will be there. So that's one of the great advantages with some of these high end models. If you have issues, you know you can get it fixed. I know with Godox an awful lot cheaper, and I'm not bagging Godox at all because I think their stuff's terrific.
Yeah.
But basically, if they break down, you throw them away. But at that cost, you'd almost expect that. They're hard to get serviced and repaired. But it's just good to see a bit more competition out there.
Exactly. Now, like you said, you know, they've been bought out by another company. And did I just read somewhere in here, lighting equipment from China? So did they take the name and are making these cheaper to compete with the other brands, even though, did you say that the price is lower now, or?
Well, I think it's definitely lower than what it was, yes. So I think they have come down. If you're dealing with the flash head is selling by itself for $700, if you
Oh,
compare
yeah.
what they used to be, they were bought out by a Chinese company, I believe.
Yeah, it says here.
So they are being more badged and obviously dropped in price. And you never know that they might do quite well now.
Yeah, interesting to see the build quality, see if they still hold up. So hopefully they do. I like to see them come back. As we always talk about camera manufacturers, sometimes we're scared about them leaving. I always hate to see companies leave because then one company kind of gets that monopoly type thing and then it doesn't push other companies. So that's absolutely true.
And the design looks really nice if you look at it.
Yeah,
It looks lovely.
I was looking at that. It looks really, really nice. Yep. What is this? How does this compare to like your pro photos? Is this it doesn't really say TTL. Blah, blah, blah. What about the recycle times? Like this is.
Well, that's the thing. I'm just looking down the bottom there. It just says there's 9 stops of power. It's very well. It's 0.01 to 2 seconds. Now that obviously will depend on the power. The lower your power, the faster the recycling will actually be, which is common with these flashes anyway. Usually the lowest power, you get the fastest recycle time. But looking at that, it looks like it's pretty fast. 1/8,000th of a second, but there probably isn't HSS on this due to the fact that it's just a studio strobe, it's not meant to be used as a
well, it says here,
strobe outdoors.
What's it say here? It says flash durations as short as a number there, fan cooling. It says HSS up to 8,000th of a second.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. So it is doing high-speed sync. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's good. And it's got Sony, it's got Canon, Nikon, Sony TTL, so it's got TTL built in.
Yep.
32 channels, 5 groups, 500 full power flashes. Oh, so it's also battery as well. Looks like a good unit, actually.
Yeah. Now, the Pro Photo you use, the battery's built into that one, isn't it?
No, it's replaceable. You can pull it out.
But I mean, it's like it's in the unit. Like these used to be like a battery pack, weren't they?
Yes, they did. Yes.
I wonder if these
Pro Photo has a little battery that attaches on the side, and you can pull it out. Yeah.
I don't think I'd ever go with the other ones with battery packs. That sounds like too much trouble.
No, I think they all seem to be changing to that now. Godox have got ones now where the battery's sort of just pushed in and stuff now, so they're all moving away from those power packs. It's more if you have the real big industrial lights, that the 1,000-watt globes and stuff, you need those battery packs to power the lights. So they have to have the big battery packs as part of the unit itself. If you buy the big Pro Photo ones, they're real industrial ones that are just incredible. Well, they have massive battery packs, that are huge, that are connected to it, and they need that for the power.
Absolutely. Well, that's cool. I'm glad you found that there. We're going to move on to our other story, and that would be the Panasonic. Panasonic S1R and S1 has been officially announced, not released yet till I believe March or April. And this one, I think, isn't very confusing like the Olympus ones. The Olympus new camera was kind of confused everybody, but this one's not very confusing. It's actually a really nice looking camera. It has features, it has everything you'd want, and I just did a video recently on, because I have a lot of Panasonic subscribers, and I just told everybody why I wouldn't go with it, and I think a lot of people feel the same, and that is, it's very expensive. It's bigger than the Panasonic G9. Now, the Panasonic G9 was almost the same size as the Sony A7 III, but it was just a little more round or bulky. So for me, this is really close to perfect for my hands, but I don't think I'd ever want to go bigger than a Panasonic G9, and naturally this one. So this camera is a little bigger, which isn't too bad, and I know a lot of people like bigger cameras. And the other thing is, so the price, not many lenses released, although they do have some really expensive, what's the company they paired up with?
Leica.
Yeah, I don't know how many people would get those, but they're pretty expensive. And the other thing is the Flippy screen. We don't have the Flippy screen. We'll talk a little bit more about Flippy screens on that, but as far as bigger, expensive price lenses, the big factor is that focus, because being Panasonic, user for a long time. I learned to work with it, and I didn't think it was all that bad until I got the Sony A7 III. Yeah, and then I was like, whoa, man, this is crazy, because everybody was telling me you got to try it. And so, man, once I got that, I couldn't go with anything else. Now, I was telling people, if this S1 was a G9 with the full frame sensor, with the Flippy screen, with maybe a little bit more price, of course, or at least paired with this, then it would be a contender, because I like Panasonic so much. But with all those little things missing, I don't think I'm going to go for it. And what do you think about this release?
Yeah, I mean, from the reviews I've seen, the video autofocus particularly is not that good. It doesn't compete with, say, what Sony or Canon have. Even what Nikon has. It does typical with that contrast detection. It seems to go, it has to work that way. It's the way that it physically works. It goes past the object, then comes back and then locks in focus. So the issue with that is, and you see it with fast lenses particularly, is you see a little bit of strobing in the background. And you can see that if you look at the videos that are out there. A lot of them, early reviewers were only using f4 lenses, and it's not as noticeable. But the second they go to, say, the fast glass, it's there, and I've seen that. Contrast detection is never, ever going to be as good as phase detection, and I'm not sure why they stuck with that and they didn't go with, like, the Olympus and go to phase detection. I think it's a real letdown, yeah. Yeah,
it's a big bummer.
I mean, the camera itself, the ergonomics look really nice.
It looks beautiful.
I don't know why they didn't add the fold-out screen that they've put in the GH5, so I can't understand that at all.
Yeah, nobody can understand that, because it's like, that was when we all heard about this coming out. I mean, we were like, okay, that's the camera that's finally going to bring the Flippy screen in a full-frame camera, and probably dual card slots because of the G9, and Panasonic just does so much so right, and then they didn't add that. I was like, what? So a lot of people was just really bummed out. Now, I could see that the focus system, they might have really put a lot of work into that over the years, or their sensors have to have it because they don't have the other technology. But you would think they would at least dug into it and searched and made this have the Flippy screen and the better focus, since the GH5 got so slammed for it. But they didn't. And so it was a little disappointing to me, and like everybody else. And like you said, that the way it focuses in and out, the biggest thing you can see on that is if there's bokeh balls in the background. That's like the biggest thing. You just see them like flaring, and it's like, what? So, yeah, kind of a bummer. What did anybody say about this? Can you see the chat, David?
Yeah, I'm just looking. They're not commenting about that yet. We might get people talking about that near the end. I mean, obviously, too, seeing the channel so new, people can ask questions later on underneath, and we'll definitely get back to you about this as well. Just the only thing, Gerald was saying that the Adorama service for Godox is great in the US, so he's saying it's good in the US. It's not very good here, though, and I'm not sure how it is in Europe, but it's certainly not very good here. Flying High says, as hobbyists, I just upgraded from the ADD to the A7R3 in Korea. You can get it for $2,400. Yes, it's 1 year old, but it's probably best on the market.
And what was that he said? Which one?
He's gone to the A7R3.
Well, like you keep saying all the time, the Sony A9, I don't even think the Sony A7 III has been touched by all these. I know, if you're video eccentric, maybe the 4K 60p is something on some of these, but really all in all, with the price and value and performance, A7 III I think hasn't been beaten. The A9, not even close. So no. I just can't believe that all these camera manufacturers are coming out with all these cameras, and Sony's just kind of sitting around. They're riding on those cameras. It's like, wow.
I know. You think how long the A7 III was released, and it still hasn't been beaten. Look, it's been beaten in certain aspects by other cameras, but if you're talking about overall,
the whole.
It's still probably the best of its type that's out there. At least Lumix have put dual card slots in, so at least they've given you that aspect of it. I'm sure the stabilization will probably be terrific and probably better than what Sony has got.
Yep.
If you base it on what their GH5 is. The worrying thing, like I said, for me is the focus, particularly if you're dealing with, working very fast in video. But I think they are saying these cameras are meant to be photo-centric, and then
Yeah, that's what
video
they
is
said.
sort of the secondary part to it. So, but I don't know if camera manufacturers can do that anymore. I really think now people
Yeah.
want, cameras that are capable, hybrid cameras, capable of doing great video and great stills at the same time. The old days of using just film, I know there is some people still doing that, but I can guarantee you anyone new coming into the industry particularly is going to be doing video as well as stills. So
Yep.
I think it's important now that they're really good hybrid cameras.
Yep, I think you're right on that. I think the XT3 was an amazing camera as well that came close to the
Yep.
A7 III, but then no IBIS and the no, what else? It does have 4K 60p, but it just cut a little short. I'm not sure I'm a fan of the Fuji lenses. There's a few I think that are missing for me, maybe because it's a crop sensor. I don't know, but we're going to move on to the next story, and that is this little thing. Now, David found this too. This is called the Switchpod. It's a minimal handheld tripod that switch modes in seconds. Now, if you guys haven't seen this, it's actually really cool. You can see the photo here. It's like the coolest. Who's that? This guy here. If you guys go check out this video, we'll leave some links in the description of all these links here. But I forget this guy's name. He's quite popular. What's he got? He's got 3 million subscribers, so he's very popular. He did a really cool review on this, and a lot of things with vlogging is when you're holding a vlog stick, usually they're straight, so you have to angle them and tilt the head down and hold them out. But this has already like a curvature to it that kind of puts it in that position already. And the really cool thing about it is, watch his video, but instead of like, I have a GorillaPod somewhere here, but instead of trying to set it up straight and crooked like a GorillaPod, it just opens up in seconds like you see the little photo on the right here. And it's actually a really ingenious thing. So you can see this girl holding it here, and this thing flips out like in seconds. So you can put it on a tabletop and just start recording. It's already going to be leveled for you, and pick it up and run. So that was really cool. David, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's really good. I started using, I use the GorillaPod sometimes if I'm doing vlogging.
Yeah.
But it is a bit cumbersome, and then you've always got to bend it and move it into shape, and then if you wanted to stand it down, it becomes an issue. This thing is really cool because basically you just sit it on the desk and it opens up.
Yep.
And stands on its own. So if you wanted to then move away and move in, whatever you wanted to do, it's perfect for that. And when you're holding it, it's just at that perfect shape for vlogging. Now, I think it's only on Kickstarter at the moment, so you can't get it yet, but you certainly can get it on Kickstarter. Like anything on Kickstarter, there's no guarantee that the product will come out.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great idea. I hope it does, because I probably would buy this.
I mean, I think most vloggers will, because it's just to be able to put it down. Because that's the reason why I don't use the GorillaPod anymore. Because when I put it down, it's fallen over, and it's like, forget it. So this thing like completely takes care of that. And someone just in chat said Peter McKinnon. That's his name of the video. Yeah. So check out his video, because he really does a good job showing that off. It's really neat. So if any of you vloggers are out there, give that a check and keep that in your mind. Did it say when it's coming out, David?
No, I think it was late this year, actually, so it's still a while away. I think I remember I checked it out. I think it was about August or something like that from memory. But I hope it does actually. Oh yes, it says there estimated start is August 2019.
I see it.
So there's still a while yet for it to actually come out, but great idea.
Very, very cool. So again, chat, don't want to ignore you here. Thank you guys for stopping by. Hopefully I'm not doing too bad here at the switchboard. Go full screen on me here. And the next thing we're going to show you, or I'm going to show you, is this little app called, let me get it right, it's called WikiShootMe. And what this is an app. It's like an internet-based app. It's not like an iPhone or a Google Store app. So what I did was I went to the link, and then I just saved that link to the desk or the screen, or what, I don't know what that's called, but you save it on your screen so I can just click on it whenever I want. And what this does is I'm going to click on it here, and I'm going to see if this will show you guys. Let's see if this works out. While this is loading, what it does is it takes your location where you're at, like I'm here, and it's going to show me in my vicinity. You might be able to put how many miles away from you want to search. I think I have it on 10 miles. And what it does is it'll plot different little bubbles, and those bubbles represent a place that is of some significance where you might want to go and take a photo. Now, at first I was like, oh, let's see it. It's actually pretty cool. So if I zoom out, if I can show you guys that, let me see where I'm at so you guys can see. That little gray dot is where I'm at, and you can see all of the different little bubbles around here. And if you click on a bubble, now the green ones are the only ones that I click on because the red ones don't have photos and you kind of don't know what it is. But let me zoom in. And now if we click on, I don't know if I can do this, but click on that green one. And wait, let's go back out. It's kind of taking slow here. It's actually pretty quick when I'm out and about. And I almost took a photo of one of these. Let me find a green one. Here we go. Put the green one. And so when you click on like a green bubble, it pops up the thing that you can go take a photo of. So I thought that was really cool and unique. So if you ever go into a strange location, traveling or whatever, get this app out. I don't know what other countries this works in. Didn't look that up. But you can see what photos they are. And actually, it was kind of cool to do my own area because I was like, ooh, I didn't know that existed. So I'll probably be using that in the future. Kind of a fun little thing to do. And did you try this out yet, David, at all, or give it a go?
No, I haven't yet, but what I liked about it when I looked this up was a lot of people have real trouble finding inspiration or what to shoot. And the great part about this, it gives you things that haven't really been captured yet. And I suppose you're putting that online, but look, this is really only to deal with something, say, using something like an iPhone or whatever. But it's just a great way of getting you out there, thinking about what might be worthwhile shooting and just giving you a little bit of inspiration. So I thought it's just a great idea. I'm all for this sort of sharing, and I think it's terrific.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, like I said, I wanted to get a photo before we started today, but got too busy. But so you guys, again, I will leave this in the link in the description, and you guys can click on that and then save it to your it's not called a desktop, your screen or whatever, and you click on it wherever you are and say, oh, hey, look, my wife's shopping. Let me see what's around here, and go take a photo of it and share it. Okay, now we got, what else we got here? Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about Flippy screens. And the thing I've been seeing about Flippy screens, and you guys probably as well, is a lot of people I see leaving comments on people's video about manufacturers aren't making Flippy screens because there's a very small percentage of people who really need a Flippy screen, and that is like vloggers. I don't know what the percentage is. Let's say there's 1% of vloggers, and then there's everybody else. So why would a company make a Flippy screen? Well, in my opinion, I don't know if I saved a photo. Let's see. I did not save a photo for that, so I'm just going to explain it. So for me, I do YouTube videos, and I do like a Flippy screen. Now that I got the Osmo Pocket, I don't necessarily need a camera with a Flippy screen for the quick behind-the-scenes stuff that I do. But the other main thing for a Flippy screen was not having to have a monitor when you're just doing video work. And when I did a music video, we did a music video in a library, and this is one instance why I'm glad I had a Flippy screen on that Panasonic. I think it was a GH2 at the time. There was a shot that was going down the bookcase, and there was a pillar here and the bookcase here, and I was able to fit the camera there to get this cool shot, but I couldn't get my head in there to see the screen. I couldn't do it. So your options are either press record and hope for the best and say action, or get a cable out with a monitor and a battery and all this stuff, which requires setup time and money and all that stuff. And all I had to do is flip the Flippy screen out, turn it, and face it to me. So I'm looking at the screen like this while the camera's facing that way, and I could click add focus, pull focus, and tell the actor to do his thing, and I could see it. So Flippy screens for me isn't just for vlogging. Another case was I was in the passenger seat of a car. We were interviewing the driver going down a mountain road here in Puerto Rico, and the director was behind me. And with the focal length that I had to stick the camera on a suction cup on the window all the way to the corner of the car so we can get, you know, the composition I wanted to. And there's no way to get my head back there to see the screen. So again, I would have to have a monitor, but in this case I had a monitor, but the HDMI cable wouldn't fit between the glass and the camera. So the flippy screen came in. Oh, look, he's got, oh yeah, got a flippy screen there. So the flippy screen came in handy by, again, pulling that out and flipping it forward, and I could just look at the camera like this and make sure the composition was good and click on it. So that for video, it's not just for vloggers. It's very, very, it comes in handy. Now for photography, the half flippy screen is actually adequate. I prefer a full flippy screen, but when I do like high shots looking down at a model or low shots looking up, there's nothing better than to have at least a half flippy screen, but full flippy screen is still having that articulation. So I just wanted to go through that real quick with flippy screens, that it's not just for vloggers. It comes in handy for video work and everything else. And I'm a very minimalist when it comes to gear. I like it very small. So what do you think about flippy screens, David?
Well, I desperately want one. Look, I really don't understand the argument people say they don't want one. All you have to do if you don't want one is keep it closed. So I just can't see the argument of saying people don't want a flippy screen. I mean, like if you've got the, you know, the Sony that has just the sort of flip out one like this.
Yeah.
If you don't want a flip out screen at all, you just leave it closed and then it's not a flip out screen.
Exactly.
But I really want one that I can just have to the side so that if you are looking at yourself or doing anything like that, you can see forward. Sometimes even if you're interviewing your talent, it's nice if they can also see the screen as well without having to carry monitors or use your phone. Joe said in the chat that, you know, you can use your mobile phone. Yes, you can, but the problem is that there is often a delay, which can be not that good to look at. Plus, it's sometimes unreliable where you can lose connection and things like that. And it's another thing that you've just got to turn Wi-Fi on, do all these other things which can drain your battery of your camera. It's so much easier just to flip that screen around and see yourself, or your talent can see themselves in that screen. And if you don't want a flip out screen, just close it. It's that simple, I think. It's
really true. Now, the other thing people talk about is it being not durable, or it makes the camera bigger. I disagree. I had a Sony a Panasonic GH2, which was a really small, dinky little camera, and it had completely just like you see the flippy screens today, the fully articulating ones, did make the camera bigger. I did hear throughout the years that, you know, sometimes they get faulty, but I don't know if it's much different than those. But I've never had an issue in 10 years with a completely articulating screen. I've had many cameras with that. So for me, I think it's a must-have. Now, as far as the app's concerned, I was filming a commercial today, and I actually had this set up in the back there, and I wanted, before the announcer for the commercial got there, I wanted to set up my shot. So I wanted to stand in to see if I'm cutting his feet off or his head. He's about my height because I worked with him before. And I did use the phone app because it's really the only way I'm going to do that. And even using a monitor wouldn't help unless you have a long HDMI cable for the shot that I was taking. Or like I did a sci-fi film called Clandestine, and we put a 60-foot crane for one of these shots. You'd need a long HDMI cable. I use my phone for that. But like David said, when I was judging myself, it was really jerky. You have to turn off Bluetooth, by the way, guys. I put this in all my videos. Turn off Bluetooth if you're going to use it, and it's a little better. And it did connect pretty quick. When I shut this down and the camera down, as long as you have it on all the time and turn on, it comes on. But like he said, batteries drain, and it's kind of jerky. If I had a flippy screen, I could have looked across the room and just like said, okay, my head's not cut off. So flippy screens all the way for me. And a lot of people agree with me, but some people think it's just for vloggers, and it's not.
Well, Panasonic, you can't say that the Panasonic screen is bad, because you don't hear online or anywhere that those screens are affecting waterproofing, which, because that waterproofing is amazing, are affecting how the camera lasts. I mean, I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I don't know why they're not putting it on there, though. That's the mystery, because it's not for vloggers, it's not for waterproofing, it's not for durability, because they've had them before, but the new S1, they took it off, so I don't know. Something there. Okay, David, are you ready to show a photo? What we do in Behind the Photo, and where I got inspired to name this show Behind the Photo, was because we show a photo, each of us, and we take you guys through how we got the shot, and just basically any ideas that we're going. And you guys can learn from that, from you new guys, and get ideas from different lighting techniques and other things that, you know, it took us to get the shot. So David is going to show his photo first and explain it. And go ahead, David. Okay, so this one I'm actually showing you here was one that I did in this beautiful winery, a wedding that I did late last year. In fact, this got me, when I did this job, the winery actually asked if they could print this off to a massive canvas and use it to promote their wedding venue. So I did that, and I said, yes, go ahead. It was a massive print, and now they're using me as one of their preferred photographers, so I definitely got something back from doing this. The interesting thing was that I used a can of liquid, it's like smoke, that I used, and you spray the actual smoke into the environment. I had to ask them if they had smoke detectors in there, due to the fact I thought it might set the smoke detectors off, and they told me no, there wasn't, so I could add the smoke. Nice. So that's how you get that real smoky look that's all in this background. Love it. So it's not done by Photoshop, it's actually done by the environment that's actually there. And what I did was, there was no window actually here, but what I did was I put two lights. I used the Neo Roto lights actually this time. I've got those, they're small sort of round lights like that, and I put two of them in this sort of gap that you can see through here, that added that look at like it was a window coming in through the side of the thing, which lit them up. Now I didn't use flash at the front at all. This is completely lit from those two Neo Roto lights that were put there, that I balanced to look like daylight streaming in through the window. So it's given that look of the beams actually coming through. There was a small, I used a bit of, it was like a metal foil, which I cut little holes out, so it gives it the look of like the window light coming through. And that's how I got that effect of the light beams streaming through the outside. This was just shot with, I think it was the A7 III, I believe. And it was, like I said, shot without having any flash at all. This is just using continuous light. I balanced for that background at the beginning, so I wanted to balance for all of this ambient light that you're seeing all through here. I had to wait a while for the smoke to fill the room, and then obviously I just had enough light. Those two lights on the right-hand side were controllable, and I just added enough to give them a little bit of fill from the front, and it sort of looks like that light streaming in from the side. So when I did this, I had the idea about what I wanted to do, and it was perfect. And the resulting image, considering that I thought flash may completely ruin the ambient look of this shot, so I wanted to use the continuous light to get it to work. Absolutely. So that's about it. Oh, that's like, I love when you shared that photo. I was like, that's really cool. And you used a Cucaloris. You made a Cucaloris out of tinfoil, which we talked about what Cucaloris is in the first episode. So that's really cool, seeing you go through all that trouble to get an amazing shot. Now, the smoke machine, you said you used a smoke machine? No, it's actually a can smoke. Oh, can smoke. I missed that. And is that something that you can buy local, or? Yes, you can. You can buy it local. You can also buy it in the States as well. It's just a different brand, but it's just a can of smoke, really. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, the only issue with the one I've got, they have updated it since. And I've got a few cans actually still left, but the one that I've got, you can't stop it. Once you actually let the smoke go, it will drain the whole can, and it goes for about 10 minutes. So it does last a long time. The new ones that have come out, you can literally just shoot as much as you like. So it's like an aerosol fly spray type of can. So they have improved it over the ones that I've got, but I've got stacks, so I'll end up using them. That's really cool. I love that. See, when I did my sci-fi film Clandestine, if you guys haven't checked it out, go check it out. It was a 3-month project. Yeah, I haven't. It was cool. I liked it. Yeah, the audio was bad because I literally did everything myself, from storyboarding, CGI, and I mean, it was just, I got sick, lost my voice. It was a crazy attempt to make a sci-fi film. But in there, we needed a lot of smoke, so I made these little, I don't even know what you call them, but it's like these little, they look like chocolate chip cookies actually. And I was going to make a video on how to make those. And when you light them, of course, inside you wouldn't want to use them outside. And you make it like that. And smoke machines, but the smoke machine I had broke. So I didn't even know about smoke in a can. So that's pretty cool. Oh, the other idea I had lately was, what is it, those vapes? You know, the smoking vape type things. You can modify them and produce all this smoke. Yep. I was thinking about maybe getting one of those someday, just, I don't vape or nothing, but to create some smoke. I don't know if that's any better than smoke in a can. If anybody knows, let me know if vape, like a modified vape, would be better than that. So I'm just kind of finding options because I want to start getting into smoke.
I'll grab the can. I'll grab the can, so I'll show you what it looks like.
Yeah, please do. What I was going to say, guys, is when we do a lot of film work, we love to put smoke into even inside, like David did here, and you kind of let it settle before you start recording. Not to make it look like smoke, but it brings a lot of like texture and atmosphere in the scene. So I want to find out what this can of smoke is, because now he's kind of letting it stay strong, but you can let it kind of fade and just bring in kind of an ambience in the room and creates a mood and all that stuff. Okay. So
I'll switch back to me. So the actual can, see, it's like that. It's just, this is just a Fusion FX that you have. And all you do is just shake it and then you press the button there. But then, like I said, this will drain the whole can. The new one have like the normal fly spray that you've got there.
Okay, so that one, whoops, I went full. So that one, used one shot and you're done.
Yes, and it lasts about 10, 15 minutes, so it does last quite a while.
But now you can control it and save it and stuff. Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Very, very cool. All right, now I'm going to show you my photo. You guys see the photo up here. Where's it at? There. I don't know. I'm pointing to it, but that's the photo I'm going to share. So I'm going to, let's go bigger with that there. So this photo here, I think I could put myself on here. Yeah. So this photo here, this is a jewelry shot. So because it's a jewelry shot, I didn't want a lot of, blurriness going on. I didn't want a lot of a shallow depth of field, basically. And I wanted to light it so that just the jewelry is kind of lit up here. And the way I lit this was, first of all, this was in San Juan, Puerto Rico. I keep looking over at myself here. San Juan, Puerto Rico. And what we did was we stayed in this hotel, and on the roof is where we did the photo shoot, so it came in real handy. And here in Puerto Rico, not a lot of people know this. A lot of photographers don't understand this. But because we're on the equator, the sun goes so fast. I mean, people don't understand that. Like when I went to Georgia and I'm waiting for the sun to go down, I was like, my gosh, the sun's still like an hour before, and it's already in the, at the horizon or whatever. And in Puerto Rico, though, it just screams. So I went up there and I set up my lights, and I'll tell you how I did that in a second. But I was just waiting for the light to get to where I knew we had time for my wife to come up after putting on her makeup and do the shot. Now, how I got the lit is I already had the camera set up. I already exposed for the background. And I set up my lights on just the cheap light stands, those really skinny cheap ones. They're great for travel and all that. And I used Godox flashes. And I actually took this, I had the metadata for you here. This was shot on the Panasonic GX85 with the 20mm f1.7 lens, and that's a 40mm equivalent. And I think I shot it at an f5.6, which the equivalent of that is f8 or something. You have to do the math on that. But what I used was these little things. These are, what are these called? They're by Rogue, and basically it's a snoot. The companies have it. They have a grid on it, and what it does is it makes the light, when you put it over your flash sticks in here, so when the light shines through, it gives you how much spread you want. And like I said, I just wanted to get this look by just the top portion lit up. So if you look on the far left, can you see my cursor? Yeah. On the far left over here, you can see some light here because I had a flash right off camera here. That would be camera left. And on camera right, it's kind of like over here. And I just put these on. I have two of them. They got the grids. Put them there so I could make, and if these actually, they have different grids to make it wider or narrow. I think I had it on the wider ones. And I just set it up for a hair light and a key light. And like I said, I already exposed for the background, waiting for it to get where I wanted. Once I had it in, she came up here, and all I had to do is adjust my flash. And I took this shot. and I think it came out pretty cool. One thing in Puerto Rico is the skies are absolutely amazing. I mean, it's very rare where you just get like no clouds or just gray clouds, and it came out great. And yeah, so that's my photo. If you guys have any questions on that, hopefully I explained enough. Let me know. Thank you. Thanks a bunch. Let's go to...
We're going to talk about the Zoom
yes.
for Prime
yeah.
travel.
Yeah, let's talk about Zooms. Did you want to go first, David, or you want me to go?
No, you can go, Aaron.
Okay. Let me talk about... Okay, a lot of you know, first of all, you have to go to... Oh, do I have it? Let me see if I have this, because it's important that you guys go here. Let me switch to this so you guys can see it. Let me put you on there too. Okay, this is, David started this photo and videography school. You got to go over there and subscribe to, how do you do that? I don't even know the terminology, but go over there and...
Yeah, they just like, it's just a like or follow. Yep.
Yeah, like and follow, because in here we really encourage people to ask questions. New people can come in. There's never a dumb question. And we really, you know, mod this Facebook page so that we don't get a lot of people saying nasty stuff to people, basically. If we see that, we just... we don't even give them a warning if it's like really bad. We just see you later. We're not here for that. We're here for learning. So go check that out, right, David? We've already seen a few of that.
No prima donnas in there. We're not going to allow that to happen. A lot of other groups really do get stacks of prima donnas in there, which we're not going to allow it to happen.
No, it's terrible. So go over there, guys, and check it out, and we will be watching. So if you really want to learn, go there. Okay, so you want to go there because we post stuff there all the time. And if you did go over there before, where's my buttons at? Let me go full screen on myself. If you did go over there, you would see that I went on 2 European trips this year. And the first time we went to a part of Europe, and I took 2 prime lenses. I took a Rokinon 24mm and a Zeiss 55mm f1.8. The Rokinon's an f2.8. And I went around and I did a bunch of photos. Let's see if I can bring this up so you guys can get a chance to kind of see what you would get with that. Because one of the main questions that I have on a lot of my stuff is what's the best, you know, camera to go on a trip, or what's the best lenses. And I'm going to scroll down through here. Let's go over here. I'm going to scroll down to the first trip. Let's see if this, I might have gone too quick. I'm going to show you what you can expect with just 2 primes. Getting to the end here. 2 primes, okay, right here. 2 primes. Now, when people ask me that, it's really hard for me to answer what's the best lens, because you could literally give me any lens. Like you said, Aaron, here's a 35mm or 50 or 100 or 55. Take that alone and get some shots. Now, if you are really into going into like churches or whatever and taking wide shots, then my type of photography is not going to fit you. I'm predominantly a portrait photographer. So if I had a lens that's, let's say, only 50mm and I'm in a church with this wide type of shot, I can't get it. But what I will do is I will maneuver myself to get like maybe a candle overhang, and bottom line is I'm going to find an amazing shot regardless of what lens I have. So for me, any lens is good. So unless you pride yourself in a certain type of photography. So I'm just going to take you through these really quick. All these photos I'm going to show you is either with the 24mm Rokinon or the 55, and you can pretty much clearly see which one's which. These wide shots like this, I think let me move this over. These wide shots here, of course, will be the 24 and closer ones like that. So I'll just take you through these. 24, this is the 55. These are all 50 here. 50mm, here's some wide shots. So again, like I'm predominantly a portrait photographer. The Zeiss 55mm is a beautiful lens. It is my favorite lens of all time. Does that mean I keep my favorite lens of all time? Not necessarily. I made a video about that. So you could take basically any lens and just get amazing shots. Let's just keep going here. And now here's where I started my other trip. 3 months, we came back for 3 weeks. We went back to Europe at a different part, and this time I took a Tamron 28 to 75mm f2.8, and here's the shots I took with just that lens. And I mean, you probably wouldn't tell the difference from 24 and 28 or 50 and 75, maybe the compression. But what I'm going to tell you about here in a second as we just scroll through these. Let's go. Oh, this place is beautiful. I love that. Did you see? Can you see my screen, David? Okay. Yeah, just love that place. So we'll just go through these and then I'll give you my ideas. So here's a Tamron. I mean, look at that wide shot. Some people say, you know, did you miss having the 24? No, because I just use my feet to compose, you know. They call it zooming with your feet, but you're really not. You're composing because if you're zooming with your feet, then that means the compositions would change. The background would do all these things. So you're basically composing, not zooming. And it doesn't matter what lenses I have, basically. And as you can see, all these, if I showed you all these and never told you I used a zoom or primes, you probably would never know. So let me go to, oh, not that. Sorry, guys. Full screen. So my outtake on which lenses are best for travel, primes or zooms. Now, when I first took the primes, here's things happen. For one, I'm a prime shooter predominantly. I love primes so much because I'll make another video about it, but it makes me move around and get compositions, whereas if I have a zoom, I tend to maybe, not necessarily get lazy, but if you can just zoom back a little bit because you're chopping your head off, you're probably going to do that, whereas if it's the prime, I would move back and I'm like, ooh, this is a better shot. So I love the primes for that. However, there was times where we would be walking and we have like a bus. Oh my gosh, you know, I'm going to put you on here, David, so everybody can see you. Oh, no, that's not it. There we are. Sorry, you can't hide behind the screen now. So we would be going and let's say I have this in my bag with the 24 millimeter and we got a bus to go and I see a shot. I'd be like, oh, honey, let me do a shot of you real quick. Get over there. And as she's getting in position, I take my camera out. I've got the 24 on, but I wanted the 50 and now I have to pose her and stuff. Forget it. And we would just move on, miss the shot. Another time would be if it's raining and I have the 50 on. I want the 24 here, but it's raining. I'm not going to change my lenses out when it's raining because then I have a chance of getting the sensor wet. I would dip into a store and change. So I was forget it. We got to keep moving. With the zooms, naturally, everybody knows this. I could just say, oh, honey, hurry up. We got a bus, but get over there real quick. I could just zoom out, look that way, look down, move your foot, boom, get a wide shot, zoom in, and then get a telephoto tight shot with the zoom, right? So which one would I take again? I would probably take primes. Why? Just because I love primes so much. And they're so, and I would only use light, small primes. I just not a fan of the prime. If I have to get a prime this big, I don't think I would. I would stick with smaller primes like the Zeiss 55, the Sony 50 millimeter, the Rokinon pancake lenses. And that's the ones I would take because I like primes, even though they have a big downfall of switching and missing shots. I kind of geared toward taking zooms, but I think I'm doing primes just because I like it so much. And I'm going to give David the rest of the time to explain what he likes better. And let me go with you full frame, David, full screen, and take it away.
Yeah, so, well, the last trip that I did was to New Zealand, and I just adore New Zealand. It's probably one of the prettiest places on earth. But I normally used to take all of my high-end full frame gear, and I thought the last time I would try and use APS-C. So I basically used the A6500, but I only took 2 lenses for the whole trip, and I did most of it with actually this one, which is the, just let me see if it's the 18-105 f4, which gives me great reach and it gives me a nice wide lens. And for sort of the dark low light shooting, I just took the Sony 24 1.8, which gives me a 35mm full frame look. And the results that I got were really quite beautiful. I'm only going to play you a little clip of it just to see, because when people tell you can't get nice results from APS-C, just don't believe that. Exactly. Let me just switch to this for a second, and I'll just show you. This is on YouTube, so if people want to look at it, they can. Let me skip.
Ooh, nice. Beautiful. So, were you using the zoom for most of these?
Yeah, this was mostly the 18 to 105.
Okay. Gorgeous. And how did you like the sharpness of it? Was it's you know, did
Hang on
you?
there. I can't hear you because of the
Oh,
music.
go,
I'll
oh,
talk in a second.
we don't hear music. I don't hear music.
Oh, you can't hear that.
No. Keep playing
Yeah,
it
I didn't
though.
realize you couldn't. Didn't realize you. Well, let me just turn off the volume and that so I can talk to you while it's going. Yeah. So, I actually this trip, all these images you're looking at were only the 18 to 105 millimeter lens, and it was really fantastic and liberating to go with such a small setup. Very little light or weight was involved. I wasn't quite certain beforehand how it would go in this sort of trip, just not taking, really expensive primes that I normally used to take.
Yeah.
But I was really happy with how it actually went. And like I said, if you want to check this out, you can have a look anyway. But
Beautiful shots.
for the country, it was just stunning, and I was so happy with the sharpness, how it looked, everything about it was just fantastic. Yeah, so I'll just see if I can quit there. Yeah, and I just talk about what I actually did in the review there. So that's what that's about. But it really changed my thinking. Before that, I nearly always just used primes all the time, and I changed a little bit with that. And now I'm using the Tamron even in my full frame line, which is the 28 to 75, and adore that as well.
Right.
So it has changed my thinking a little bit. It still hasn't changed the way I normally shoot, though. My favorite is still 35 mil.
Yeah.
I love the 35 1.4 and also the 85 mil, being the fact that I'm a portrait photographer. So, yeah.
Yeah, so see, it's like that same with me. You kind of change as you go, and the cool thing about me, since I went on 2 trips to Europe with only 30 days in between having primes and zooms, I have a really clear feeling about it, and I just really like to have a small lens on there that I could just pull out of a bag and just the feeling of it felt great. But yeah, those were amazing shots. That 18 to 105, I mean, what more would you want? Especially if you're just doing stuff that's not for clients. I mean, it's probably sharp enough for clients anyways, but I mean, that's probably one of the best travel lenses for anybody out there looking for an all-purpose lens.
Yeah, because it's got a great zoom. I mean, look, if you look at APS-C, it's probably getting close to 200 mil in the zoom range. And a lot of people just don't understand that everyone, whenever they see landscapes, always want to shoot wide, but often it's better to use something around the 200 mil because you use compression to bring those mountains forward. Otherwise, they look like a tiny. You don't get scale with wide angles. That's the problem. But if you use zooms, you do get this beautiful compression that comes in.
Yeah, like I'm going to show something real quick just based on that. Now, I showed you guys my the photos with my wife on the trip, but real quick, what he just mentioned, these are like I was going to cut some stuff off, but these are like shots I did without like portrait style shots, and these are with the Tamron here, and I'm going to show you a shot in particular, like he just said, like all these are like almost zoomed in. This one naturally isn't here, but a lot of these are zoomed in, like he said, you kind of want to see detail on stuff. If I just zoom out too wide, like this is wide, but of course you're going to do it sometimes. But one in particular shot, if I come down here, most of these are actually zoomed in at some point. When I use the primes, because some people said this is a cool shot here. A lot of times, let me find that. People said, how do you do shots like this with a prime and stuff? Well, it's just like he said, you zoom in. It's going to take too long to find this. Let's go down somewhere around here. No, I can't. Oh, like this here, this is a 55 millimeter. So you would think that was a wide lens, but it wasn't. And there was an in particular shot I wanted to find. If I can't find it, this one here. See, this was a beautiful shot. You would think it was a wide lens, but it was a 55 millimeter. If I would have used a 24 on that, it would have been so tiny that it just wouldn't work out. Okay, so we are going to go with our tip and our tip or tutorial of the evening. Did you want to start first, or do you want me to go first?
No, I can do it. Yeah, I'll just switch over to that here.
Okay, go for it.
Let me go to there. So the one I want to show is just this. That I wanted to basically show that white balance is critical, and I've found one of the easiest things that I can do to get correct white balance is to use one of these actual grey balance cards. I'm using the Color Checker Passport, and all I'll do is, you can see my wife here, she's holding that in the shot. So in each series, as long as the light doesn't change, I'll use this as the master to get my grey balance. I'll just use the Lightroom color picker and click on the grey area to get white balance set, or I can even use in-camera calibration and set it as well in camera. I do that often with video, but if you're dealing with stills, I just use, I can do it in post because the RAW doesn't hold that information, so you can do that in RAW. So all I do, as long as the lighting doesn't change, so I keep doing this as a series. So for instance, if I'm in a reception hall, I'll do one at the start of the reception, and then I know I've got something to balance to the whole time. One of the issues is sometimes you haven't got anything white or grey to balance to. So it's really handy to have something that is a neutral in the actual screen here. I'll just switch to me there so you can see it. So this is the actual thing itself. It is really small. It's also got color checkers in here, so you can use the software to click on these greys over this side to make it a warm or a cooler grey. If you take this into something like Final Cut when you're doing video, it will automatically use these swatches to color balance your images, and it works wonderfully. This is the video version of this. There's a stills version as well, and on the inside you obviously get that focus. You can check if your camera's in focus with that, and you can use the grey balance to get your grey balance through here as well. But I find this invaluable to take. I take this on every shoot that I do. This color science business that people keep talking about is a load of crap. As long as you balance things correctly, with almost any camera, if the grey balance is corrected, your color should look reasonably close to what it is. And that's what I use all the time. People say, how come your skin tones in your shoots always look so nice? It's because I'm using this.
Yeah, those are really nice. And you know what I use is this cheap thing here, but it's getting so beat up. I need to get something that you got. When I do photos now, a lot of times I don't use that stuff, which mainly because I forget, but when I do video, it's like a must-do thing because we're not working with RAW. I had a Blackmagic camera before that shot RAW, and I had a habit, and I still did it then, but now with compressed or the codecs, non-RAW codecs, you got to do it. So like today when I was doing the commercial, I had the two actresses there, and I didn't have this. I left it here on my desk where it sits. And so, but the cool thing was she had a white shirt on. So I took the camera off the tripod because it was just a tripod shot. And I walked over there and I did that custom white balance setting off of the model shirt, and it worked great. But for video, you have to do that because it's going to be a mess in post. So that's cool. Maybe if you send me a link to that, David, or something, we could put it in the comments later because people might want to get that.
Yep.
Okay, so now I'm going to do my little tip or whatever of the day. Let me see if I can show this real quick. Okay, so let's see if I can move that window. Can I? Nope. I'm going to be on top of it. Let's go like this. Okay, so I'm just going to play it like this, guys. So first I'm going to play it, and then I'll show you what's going on here. Do you hear any music? Oh. Okay, so that is a music video. Let me go, where am I? There I am. So this is a music video that I did, and the tip that I want to give people is when you, like when we storyboarded this music video, part of it was going to take place in, the girl over here on the right, she's the main actress, and she finds out she has cancer, so she's eating with her friends, and she's not feeling up to it, and the other people are having a good old time, and I can like let me play that while I go. And when you go into a place like this or you're scouting, sometimes you're not going to find the lighting quite right. And when you go into a place, it's not uncommon for us to go in and turn off all the lights. Now we film this at nighttime so that I can control the light. Because if you look at this, it looks like a very romantic type of restaurant, but I tell you, it was lit up like a Walmart with fluorescent lights. You know, I mean, I'm like, yeah, this doesn't go with my storyboard. So I already knew, hey, we got to come back at nighttime so I can shut all the lights off and add my own lighting. And so what we did is I actually brought candles in just to make it more romantic. And this foreground table here, I pulled it from somewhere else to give me foreground, midground, and background. And on the you can see my cursor over here on camera right, I had just those Home Depot lights, those work lights that are on like a T. And in front of those, I put a translucent shower curtain. I did seminars here in Puerto Rico on how to film on a budget and still make it look like a big budget type stuff. So I use a lot of these tips. Yeah. I have to get into that some other time. And people loved it because cheap ways to make things look good. Anyway, so I put this the shower curtain, hung it up on a green screen stands, and shine the light through here. It was still a little harsh, but it was okay. And in the back, what I did is you can see these lights coming up the wall. I took, again, Home Depot lights, like those can lights that go on there, but I took them off and I shined them up the wall. And if you see it, it looks like a romantic setting when it used to look as bright as a Walgreens or a Walmart, and just making your own lights like that. And you could do this with photography too. If you go into a beautiful place and there's just no contrast to the lighting, go at a time where there's lights, if you can turn the lights off by the owner of the building, and you can place flashes just like I did here if it was a photography shoot. So that's my tip of this show. Go into a place, find out the lighting, and just turn off all the lighting and add your own. You can add it however you want it, and that's my tip of the week. So yeah, and it's so important, especially when video is kind of harder because there's things moving. So this light, the key light on the right, we placed it here for like this shot. And that shot, I actually had to move it. So before I moved it, I did all the shots from this, like I did that shot and this shot, and then we moved it, and then I filmed this scene, and that was it. So that's how we did it. That's my tip of the week. Hope you guys learned something on there. Let's bring David back into the show. So what else is there, David? Am I missing something?
No, there's only questions now, which we're going to go through.
Okay, questions and answers. Can you see the chat, David?
Yep. I was just going to say, Gerald said too, the Panasonic held great promise, but not overall enough to push Sony. And that, I think he's right. The issue is we need someone to push Sony. I'm hoping that Canon releases a high-end model very soon that perhaps may push Sony, because I did a video about that yesterday, that their lenses are outstanding. It's only the body that lets them down at this stage. So if they can sort of lift that area, at least Sony may be pushed a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
What else? We had a comment there too from Video Photomix, said if Panasonic uses face detection system, it will produce banding issues like Sony, Canon, and Nikon have. I've never had an issue with banding with face detection or any banding, apart from if I'm using the Sony A7 III in silent shutter, which is obviously a no-go. But you shouldn't get banding. I've never seen it. I know there are videos out there showing banding, but I've never seen it in practice.
Oh, see, I've never had any issues. So they're saying that, what causes the banding exactly, David?
Well, he's saying face detection, but I haven't seen the banding, so I can only talk about it from my perspective.
I've never had it
as a normal shooter shooting continuously all the time. I've never noticed my images having banding. So
yeah, I've never had that either.
Frog said you're on auto exposure, Aaron. I'm not sure what that means, and then he's got a smiley face.
No, maybe my camera's on auto exposure. It's because I wanted to show my screen, and if I wouldn't have put it, if I wouldn't have put it on auto exposure, it would have blown out. So yeah. And I can't shut it off while I'm filming. Sorry.
Oh, that's Kilo said any rumors on a Tamron 15 to 30 wide zoom coming any time soon? Well, I'm convinced Tamron will be releasing lenses sometime this year. I'll be surprised if they don't, particularly for the Sony side of things, seeing the 28 to 75 is selling so well. I think that there will be other lenses. Probably the 70 to 200 will come first, though.
Exactly. Did you hear a specific rumor or no? Of the
Not
50,
yet.
yeah.
I just keep hearing that the 70-200 is in development.
Yeah.
But we just don't know when that's going to actually happen.
Any chance you'll get to be able to try that out? I think you tried the Tamron 28-75 early, right?
Yeah, Tamron Australia sent me an early version of that I can review. So I'm hoping they'll do the same thing if there's a 70-200.
I hope so, because we got direct contact with you.
Yep.
Let's see here. Gain Smith, hello. I see a comment that you're saying hi there. Beautiful.
Joe says, watch out for explosions with that smoke. I think it's non-flammable, I think. Yeah, it says, I know, it says do not spray near a naked flame. So
It's not,
you do have to be careful where you spray this stuff.
Well, the stuff that I made, you have to catch it on fire, so you got to be very careful. You guys can go see behind the scenes of Clandestine. That's my short film I did a couple years ago, and you could see us lighting those and all that good stuff. Oh man, I'm way back here on these things.
Gerald said, I had the 18-105 lens for my Sony A6500 and loved it on trips, but don't shoot me. I traded both to afford the A9. Well, I can understand that. I mean, you can only have so much camera gear.
Exactly, and I'm very minimal actually. Gain Smith says, great shot, Aaron. Thank you so much. Glad to have you here, Gain. Glad to have everybody. If you guys want to do us a favor, go ahead and kerplunk that thumbs up, and just every time you come over here, boop, hit it a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to David's channel. One thing I didn't mention before I go, and I don't want to forget, next week we'll be on David's channel. We host it back and forth. 1 week here, 1 week on his channel. So go subscribe to him. That's a thing I do.
What else have we got? Frogs, yeah, that was the video I played. Yeah. Frog said 24-105 does okay for those not afraid of adapters. Yeah, that's a good lens, a 24-105. The Sony one's good as well. Yeah,
the Sony one's really good. That's what I got right here. I did a couple shoots with that, and I love it. But again, I like Prime so much, so I'm still in the works on deciding there.
Joe said roto lights are made for dramatic lighting. Yeah, well, they are developed for that. They're developed by a photo company. That's why I decided to use them for that thing. Plus, they've got barn doors attached to the lighting, so I could control where the lighting was coming out from that shot.
And David, about the roto light, do you find it bright enough for almost any indoor type shots, or is it still, like if it's 1 o'clock, is it still kind of not good enough, or how's that work out?
No, well, they're no good in daylight.
Even inside? Like in a bedroom or something, barely?
Yeah, they'll add a little bit of fill.
Okay.
They're nowhere near what you'd look at. Anything where it becomes quite bright, I'll use my flash. Yeah. If it's controlled in a darker sort of, like late in the evening, sort of stuff like that. Once the light's gone, the ice lights and also the Neo rotor lights will start to work. But I do use them all the time for weddings and stuff like that, brides and things like that in bedrooms where I want to give just a little bit of a fill.
Yeah, I saw a shot with you and Kiara in a she was on a bed or something sitting on the edge. Looked really nice. Yeah. Now, see, I was thinking because the shot that I shared today probably could have worked great with those roto lights because it was already kind of dark and it would have had a soft light to it. So it might work for those.
Just looking else there. We're just about near the end.
Any thoughts on the new Canon EOS RP? Didn't you do a video on that?
Yeah, I did one yesterday just talking briefly about it. Well, we don't know yet exactly what's going to happen with that, but they're saying that they're going to get rid of that stupid little touch joy thing at the back. The
touchscreen.
They're getting rid of that part and putting probably a normal joystick on there. It's going to be a very light camera, so I'm not convinced it's going to look even the same as what the others are and what material it's made from. It might be more like the M50 like type of material, but the price that they're putting it at's pretty cheap. So it looks like it's going to be a real good entry-level camera. But again, it's got that 1.5 times crop if you're dealing with 4K, so they've crippled it in that regard.
Are they crippling it on purpose? Sorry.
No, I think so, yeah. I do think so.
You don't think they have the horsepower to...
No, I think they're just protecting their camera line, their movie line.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And their digital SLRs, so, but I think it's bad. It's probably only going to have 1 card slot. So, but there are rumours later this year they're going to release a high-end model. Now, if that came out and it was amazing and it had a flip-out screen, their glass is outstanding.
Without the crop?
Be something Yeah, and without a crop, it could be something I'd consider getting.
Exactly. Here's a question from, forgive me if I, Mr. Brooks. What is a good setup for backup storage? Are you talking about like when you're traveling and you have photos? If that's what you're talking about, what I usually do is, of course, I have a camera with dual card slots. That's very important. Just like David's always been saying, it's like when I went, that's why I went to the Panasonic G9 immediately, because it was the first dual card slot. Well, the G5 had, GH5 had it, but dual card slots are like, oh my gosh, like so important. I feel so relaxed. So dual card slots are for one, you can get a big card and maybe a small card and have them going there and then take that out and save it. The other thing I do is I always take my iPad, which has a lot of storage on it, and I usually keep it cleaned out by storing it home. So when I am on a trip, I can offload those to my iPad. So that's how I do it. They do have hard drives where you can actually stick the hard drive in the hard drive itself and offload. David, what do you usually do when you travel for storage?
Well, I now I'm like you. I just save them to both cards. I have large enough cards that I never have to worry, and because it's dual cards, I never have to worry. I do have a small device which I can plug the card into, and it's got an internal hard drive into that, which I use. I've got one like that, but I never use that anymore. So since it's dual cards, I never ever bother uploading. Sometimes I take my laptop and download them onto my laptop if I'm worried. Like when I used the A6500, I had to use the laptop because it's only a single card slot. So I use my laptop to back that up.
Well, that's every time you talk about dual card slots and some people say it's not important, I'm like, what? When I do a wedding on anything but a single card slot, I would like back them up to my phone when I'm driving from the church to the ceremony, from the ceremony to the whatever you call that, and it was so like just a headache, because what if you just lost that card? So for Mr. Brooks, just dual card slots. If you don't, buy an iPad or those hard drives that are dedicated where you can stick the SD card in there and just offload that way. So
yeah,
there you go on that.
Gerald said the Canon EOS RP might be a great profit move for Canon to try and undercut all other full-frame mirrorless. Poor crop, single card slot, no IBIS, 5 frames, tops. But the interesting thing is the average user that just goes into a shop does not care about any of those things. All they care about is that it has a flip-out screen, because now it's this vlogging culture now where everyone wants to do Instagram stories, everyone wants to get on YouTube and stuff like that. So I think Canon, it's a very good move to offer a very cheap, low-end full-frame camera that will grab a lot of attention, and I think they'll do very, very well with it.
And the 4K, they always put those buzzwords out there. So even if the 4K is crap, people see that 4K on there and like HD. Oh wait, you gotta have HD. So I think it will do pretty good to, like you said, the consumer. Real quick, I want to say Robert Hernandez, hello. He said hi to Puerto Rico from Brooklyn.
Hi, Robert.
Glad you're here, buddy. Hope you subscribe and hang out with us. Go to David's channel and subscribe as well, so we can always hang out every week.
Jess said, why behind the photo instead of the hairy and bald photographer? Because it will capture people's interest on YouTube.
Because you weren't here to give us the suggestion, because I would have chose that. That sounds great.
Oh, Jess. Love you, Jess.
That's funny. Glad you're here, buddy.
What else? Gerald said, what lenses, in your opinion, are missing from the Sony rumor of upcoming lenses? Well, really, the only thing I think was missing is a really wide-angle prime. I know a lot of people are after the sort of low-end 35 1.8. And APS-C lenses have been given no love at all, and it's really sad that they released the A6400, but they're not releasing any APS-C lenses. So that's probably one of the things that are missing. I'd love to see a cheap, for the people that can't afford it, I'd love to see a really good cheap 35 1.8, like the 85 1.8 would be great. But something wide, like a 12 millimeter, 2.8, something like that would be great as well.
There's a question to you, David. Did you just answer that?
I did the one about what lenses were missing.
Oh, here's one. It says, I do have the Sony 24-105 now, and it's a great travel lens. First lens I grabbed for travel. It says it was at you, so I didn't know if you guys were talking about something and I missed it.
Gerald Gerald said, is the EOS RP a better vlogging camera than the Sony A6400? Well, we have to wait, Gerald, to see what the full specs are on that camera, but it probably will be a better vlogging camera than the A6400. It's full frame. Even though it has that crop there, it's still full frame. So I suppose if you take the crop into account, it's going to be the same crop as what you're getting for the A6400. It might be a fraction less, actually. But I think it probably will be better due to the fact that it has the flip-out screen on the side. Therefore, you can immediately use microphones and stuff attached onto the top without using things like small rig holders and adapters and things like that. I mean, look, I just like to travel minimalistically. I hate when you've got to carry cages and things like that to just add a microphone. So it probably will be a better vlogging camera than the A6400.
Yep, probably. Any other questions? We're winding down here. We're over our hour, so we're going to be going here soon.
Oreo said, these amateur vloggers will have a heart strike when they buy the $1,500 United States Canon camera just to find out that the lenses for it cost $3,000.
Yeah, they better do their homework. That's for sure, right?
I love it. That's funny, Oreo. Last question, really. Java said, there's a reason Canon, Nikon put dual card slots in their pro cameras. They made their mirrorless entries for prime time only. Yeah, and that's why they've said Nikon have admitted that the Nikon releases was not a professional camera. So they've said that. I think the newer ones, though, will probably be the next version of this. But they're still holding back a little bit to protect their digital SLRs.
Yeah, they got to spread their wealth over years, so they're always these incremental updates and everything else, and to save their other camera line. So I think that's the show, because we're already 19 minutes over. David, thank you so much. This is a blast. Hopefully I get a little smoother on my side here. I want to thank everybody for coming by and watching us. And please give us that thumbs up. It really helps us out. And you can just subscribe to us and hit that little bell icon so next time we go live, you're going to be notified. Any last words, David, before we sign out?
No, that was it. That was it. We had a great time. We really enjoyed it. This is just going to grow and grow and grow over a period of time, so it's really exciting. Thank you for all the people that are on at the ground floor at this stage, right from the beginning. But it certainly will grow over time.
Thanks, guys. So next week, it's going to be on David's channel, so go over there and subscribe to his channel, and we will see you guys next time. David, thank you so much, and we'll see everybody later. Bye.